So a lot of county governments in Colorado have 3 county commissioners. A lot of county governments in Colorado have 3 county commissioners. Instead of having separate executive, legislative, the legislative and the executive branch are together. I don't know if you're paying attention. Let me repeat what I just said. Colorado, your leadership in your counties, the 3 kings, the triumvirate, they are both the executive and the legislative branch. They are both the executive and the legislative. There's the checks and balances is that there's supposed to be 3 co-equal branches, correct? So how does that make any sense? If you're a true blue American, you should be absolutely appalled. What the fuck? Wait a second. There is supposed to be 3 branches. How come there's a judicial branch in Colorado, right? That's separate. There's an independent judicial branch, but the legislative and the executive branch for the county government is the exact same. What the fuck? That's not checks and balances. That's not American. I know. I hear you, America. I'm going to go ahead and just get more into the executive, judicial, and the executive branch. I have 7 questions here, and then I'm going to just talk about the 3 branches of government according to Montesquieu, which is the father of the 3 branches of government theory. And if you look at the constitutions all over the world, every fucking constitution does 3 branches of government. Every fucking constitution said, well, hell, America's doing it, and America did it because Montesquieu, that goddamn Baron de Montesquieu, he said it was the right thing to do. And so why would you be pissed off if the executive and the legislative branch had combined? Well, that's tyranny. That's fascist totalitarian tyranny. If the executive and the legislative branch is combined, that's tyranny. So you should be pissed off and you should be, ready to go protest. According to Montesquieu, which branch makes peace or war, sends embassies, establishes the public security, and provides against invasions? Here's 7 questions, okay? And since you guys are Americans, I don't really have to explain any of this to you. I know every one of y'all know all of this, okay? But there's 3 branches, right? I'll go ahead. Legislative, executive, and judicial. Which branch of government makes peace or war, sends embassies, establishes the public security, and provides against invasions? Number 2, according to Montesquieu, what are the 3 kinds of laws the legislature, the first one is according to Montesquieu. They're all according to Montesquieu, except for question 7. Number 2, according to Montesquieu, what are the 3 kinds of laws the legislature can pass? What are the 3 kinds of laws the legislature can pass? According to Montesquieu, number 3, which branch of government is dependent on the laws of nation? Exact quote, dependent on the laws of nation. Which of the 3 branches of government is dependent on the 3 laws of nation? Also, which branch of government do the police work for? According to Montesquieu, which branch? I threw that one in. That's question 8. Let's go ahead and type that in there. And it's a bonus question because it's rhetorical. So, which branch of government is dependent on the law of nations? That's 3. Number 4, according to Montesquieu, which branch of government is executive in regard to matters that depend on civil law? According to Montesquieu, what are the 4 functions of the executive branch? Number 6, according to Montesquieu, what are the 2 functions of the judiciary? Number 7, what are the 3 functions of money? Number 8, which branch of government do the police work for? Now, authoritarians are a threat to comedy, to art, to music, to thought, to poetry, to progress. Jon Stewart at the Mark Twain Awards, he said, authoritarians are the threat to comedy, to art, to music, to thought, to poetry, to progress. Well, he didn't stumble over progress. He just spit progress out. Which branch of government is dependent on the laws of nation? Which branch of government is the civil law? Well, that one's easy. The executive branch is the branch that's dependent on the law of nations. And don't even ask me what the law of nations are, because I don't know. But basically what it feels like he's saying, because it's about the spirit of the laws. Montesquieu is all about the spirit of the laws. You got the exact letter of the law, and then you got the spirit of the law. And actually, some people say, liberals say, like, the law expands. Fuck that shit. Fuck that noise. I think you have to stick with the letter of the law. You got to be a strict constructionist. Maybe be an originalist. You have to be. But you can also, where the law does not say exactly what's going on, then the spirit of the law prevails. So which branch is dependent on the laws of nation? It's the executive branch. Also, the executive branch is the branch that makes peace or war, sends embassies, establishes the public security, and provides against invasions. So a lot of peace and war, embassies, a lot of, we're as a country, right? Like I would think of a king, right? They go out and make treaties and make sure that the people are safe from invasion. So basically he's not just, picking fights just to be picking fights. He's not just trying to enrich himself, but he truly believes in the people. He truly wants what's best for the people. The radical invents the views, but when he has worn them out, the conservative adopts them. Mark Twain once said that the radical invents the views, but when he has worn them out, the conservative adopts them. Which is probably correct. The radical invents the views, but when he has worn them out. So here's how I understand the three branches of government. Just real, short. And actually, I probably should start out with, which branch of government do the police work for? The executive branch. The judicial, the executive, and the legislative branch. So it is kind of complicated, and it's complicated important. The reason why it's complicated, it's important, it's intentionally complicated. It checks and balances. Why? To stop tyranny. To stop King George III. Until the end of all time. To stop all tyranny. To stop, that fucking King Edward. What was that, guys? It chopped King Charles. King Charles I. And then George III. How do we go from Charles to George I to III? Just get rid of this goddamn royalist, hereditary succession, goddamn princess bullshit. Get it out of here. The executive branch is the one that's closest to the king. The executive branch is the king. So Joe Biden, Jared Polis, they are the kings of America or in Colorado, respectively. So Jared Polis, Joe Biden, they're the kings. They run shit. They execute the old laws, the new laws. They write the treaties. They lead the nations into battle, inspire individual freedoms, right individual freedom. They inspire new legislation. They're kind of the philosopher of the nation. Right, America? So the executive one is the closest one to a king. Now, since we're against tyranny, the legislative branch and the judicial branch, they got some of the share of the power too. Now, what power do the legislative and judicial branch? Well, the legislators get to write the rules or rewrite the rules. They get to throw the rules out, make the rules better, amend the rules, whatever. They can write the Constitution, enhance the Constitution, throw the Constitution out, write another Constitution, write a Bill of Rights, write 3 Bills of Rights with 100,000 freedoms, including your natural rights, and your 70 Coloradan American freedoms, or nothing else. All they can do is write the rules. Now, some people say the golden rule is the one with the golden makes the rules. I disagree with that. Now, judicial branch is the judgment of the constitutionality of the laws, and the executive branch. And that's the important part when it comes to the king and what the king can do. It's a major check on the king. But the judicial branch actually is a major power unto thyself. In fact, they might be the most powerful branch in dumb America. Because since the police work for the executive branch, they technically work for Joe Biden and for Jared Polis or the mayor or the 3 county commissioners. They're elected independently. They have their own budgets. They can make their own decisions, have their own list of priorities. But you think they'd want to be fair-minded, due process, be opposed to crime. You would think they would be opposed to crime and, fascism and a bunch of Nazi, Confederate, KKK shit. So most Americans think that the cops work for the judicial branch, right? The cops nab them, the courts slab them. The cops nab them, the judge slabs them. The cops nab them, the DA and the judge and the jury of his peers if he is smart. That's how, right? Just cookie cutter. Oh, the judge, rubber stamp. wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That goes against everything about America, though. Whenever I think about what's moral, what's right and wrong, I always think about what would a jury of my peers think about, A, B, and C. What would a jury of my peers think about A, B, and C? So the judicial branch is a major power in America because they might be the only check on the police branch. And you know what? I should go ahead and write the police branch. He didn't mention this. Montesquieu didn't see this coming. But the idea of the police is that they're kind of just these, nameless sort of just conduits of the law. They were there. They saw some, things happen. They arrested people. They're not biased, right? They're not corrupt. They're not just going to arrest innocent people to help out their buddies. They're not going to do shit like that. But what happens when the police are corrupt? The judicial branch, they go ahead and, nab them and slab them, right? So the police nab them and the judicial branch slabs them because they're a bunch of weak ass. They went to law school. They're a bunch of nerdy, fucking tiny ass. They need these fucking criminal, thug, fucking bouncer, warrior, ninja warriors, these big hulking hawks. These judges and these DAs need these big hulking hawks in order to enforce, whatever they think is the law, but also enforce what the judge and the DA. So the police can really, if they know a thing or two about a thing or two, they can do as they please. They can enforce their own policy. And they can basically get all their shit rubber stamped by the judge. So the way it looks like in America, and the judicial branch has executive power, and so do the police. But the whole thing is about what the fucking king wants, what the executive branch wants, what the president. And the reason why the president, English Bob is wrong when it comes to kings and presidents. Kings, fuck a king. I'd wipe my ass with the fucking king with the crown, just take that crown and shove it right. Fuck a king. I don't think of the royalty majestic. I'm not in awe. I'm not in awe of no fucking king. I'm in awe of a president. Motherfucker that convinced millions and millions of people to vote for him, to lead the nation, to write the treaties, to send the embassies, right? The executive one is the one that's closest to the king. So the closest that we can come to being one nation under God, indivisible, the best way to be e pluribus unum, right? Many nations, one, is to be as consistent with the king as possible. There's, since we got Jared Polis here in Colorado, and since we have 3 county commissioners here in Conejos County, and since we have Joe Biden, the president, those are the kings. Those are the kings. Those are the lead executives. But like I said, in Conejos County, Costilla County, Alamosa County, I want to say probably most counties in Colorado, the executive and the legislative branch are exactly one and the same. And the problem with that, well, that's tyranny. That's goddamn tyranny. Why are we better than Russia? Why would American imperialism be better than Russian imperialism? Because America believes in the 3 branches of government. America believes in democracy. We believe in the republic. We believe in elections. We believe in the consent of the governed. Without elections, you don't have a democratic republic. The executive, the legislative, judicial. The executive branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and then the police branch. So the big power that the judicial branch have is that they resolve criminal and civil disputes between individuals in society. The police are in the executive branch, and so really when they make a distinction between civil and criminal, what they're saying is you can't go around hurting that person or that person. But is the crime a breach of the community, a breach of the peace of the community? That's the difference between a civil and a criminal. Is it just between you two? Or is this a piece of crap? Is this piece of shit been fucking with other people in the community? Is this what the spirit of the laws says, that we got the 3 branches of government? Charles Louis de Secondot, Baron de la Brede, Ed de Montesquieu. Nobody remembers any of those names, but that's all of Montesquieu's names. Charles Louis de Secondat. Hey, Secondat. Charles Louis de Secondat, Baron de la Brede et de Montesquieu. The Baron de Montesquieu. Maybe Charles. Maybe we should give him Charles. All right, Charles. Charles, the Baron de Montesquieu. All right, Mr. Charles, Baron de... All right, Mr. Montesquieu. So here's the title of the first 8 books, and I'm going to take a break and come back. We're talking about the 3 branches of government. And if you're American, you know about all this. I don't even have to Montesquieu. I remember I was talking to this one woman in America about Montesquieu and the 3 branches of government. It was bothering me. It was kind of like, what? The police or the executive branch? That doesn't... She didn't give a damn, didn't give a shit, didn't bother her. Yeah, of course. Of course. The police are the executive. There's judicial. They're the executive. They're the legislative. They're all everything. And they're nothing. They're everything and they're nothing. And, the Trinity makes sense. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, they're all one. They're all one, but they're different, but they're the same. Huh. Are you the same as your father? Is your son the same as you? 8 books. The titles of Montesquieu's The Spirit of the Laws, 8 books are book number 1 on law in general, book number 2 on laws which derive directly from the nature of the government, book number 3 on the principles of the 3 governments, book 4 that laws on education must relate to the principles of the government, that the laws made by the legislator must be relative to the principle of government, book 6 consequences of the principles of the various governments with respect to the simplicity of the civil and criminal laws, the form of judgments, and the establishment of punishments. Book number 7, consequences of the different principles of the 3 governments with respect to sumptuary laws, to luxury, and to the condition of women. Book number 8, on the corruption of the principles of the 3 governments. On the corruption of the principles of the 3 governments. Wow, this is exciting! You know who else said that this was exciting? A fucking neocon. Bill Kristol. Bill Kristol. How come, goddamn, it's Antonin Scalia talking about natural law. Antonin Scalia, why? When George W. Bush was the Iraq War, the goddamn Patriot Act, we liked individual freedoms. I thought being a good liberal meant that you cared about your individual freedoms. You live in America, well, we got, not just one Bill of Rights, but you got your state bill, your state's bill of Rights also. Anyways, I'm proud to be an American.